yourself on fire. If you really love me, burn yourself on the pile of fire. If you really love me.
Guys, welcome to Ancient Wisdom. I know, there's a lot of stuff to be upset about in the modern days. It's not how it used to be, but that's why you're here with us. We're trying our best, because we're modern men too, but we're trying our best to get back. Nothing's ever perfect. Oh, but the ancient people, they were violent. But, that's why we take the best of the ancient.
Colonizers.
Yeah, they're a bunch of colonizers. We're not saying everything's perfect, but we take what they left, the traditions that were meant to be preserved.
We're giving you the highlights.
We're giving you the highlight reel on Ancient Wisdom, Take what we can from it, because this fully modern new thing saying that the past is a bunch of...
Malarkey,
it's not right. It's not right. To illustrate that, I got a story from Aesop called The Sun and the Wind. There was two forces of nature debating who was the most powerful, the sun and the wind. And they say, hey, I see some asshole with his jacket on. Let's see who's really strongest. Who could get him to take off his jacket? So the wind says, I'm going to go first. And he blows a hurricane. And that jacket stays on. He just goes like this. It's cold out here.
Didn't account for buttons and zippers.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take that off. And the sun goes, all right, dog, my turn. And he just gently glows. Gently glows his ray. It's not even too hot. Just a gentle, nice trickling of photonic radiation.
Just gradually spreading his photons all over.
And the man goes, it's kind of hot. And he takes the jacket right off.
Willingly, huh?
Willingly, the sun being the winner.
There's a lot of slow and steady wins the race allegories that this guy talks about.
The gentleness, slow and steady. Why are you forcing everything? And I just think it's so interesting. We're studying all these traditions all over the world. The Tao in China. We're studying the Gita in India. And we're studying ancient Greek sort of allegories and tales.
When I was younger, I didn't realize how many of these myths all were trying to point to the same thing.
And they're pointing to the same thing. Isn't that funny? But everybody has their own culture. And that's the theme of the show in total. That's the theme of Ancient Wisdom, is that we've forgotten something. And you could tell it a story differently. You could tell a poem differently. And that just indicates your personality. That just indicates your culture, where you come from. A religion is just a different expression from a different part of the world.
They're all talking about the same thing. I think we heard this before in The Flame, projecting upward. This is not blowing. This is not projecting. This is radiating.
Radiating. I like it. That's a good word for it.
Glowing, radiating.
One must radiate like their soul, their personality. You don't have to force anything.
When you want to blow, you want to push.
Right.
But radiation doesn't care where it's going to hit.
That's right.
It's just radiating.
Oh, so they're both exerting a force onto the world, but one is less effort than the other.
I could rename this story Joe Rogan versus Theo Vaughn.
Do I hear you say, what I hear you saying is that Theo has been embodying the Tao?
Oh my gosh, I think so. I think that's exactly it. You know, how many times has Joe had a cool guest on and he just talks over him? But I digress. I won't hate on Joe this episode. You're doing good things. You're doing the Lord's work, Joe. But let's get into it. Let's get into our show. The main bulk of this show is going to be the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 9. And this one is called, Poja's favorite part of the show, the name, Raja Vijaya Raja Guja Yoga.
Oh my Lord. Tell me what it means.
Also known as...
yes, that yoga.
Of course.
I'm not even going to guess.
I do that
This
every
is
morning.
Ridiculous.
The royal knowledge and the secret knowledge, or the royal secret as well.
Oh, they're different.
Yeah, kind of like two combined.
Royal, I would
suppose.
feel like royal knowledge is also secret knowledge, but we'll see where this
Yeah,
goes.
maybe they are sort of one and the same. They throw together, right? So he's starting off really deep off the bat, and maybe this could be the line of the whole book for all I know here. Because you have no envy of me, I will share with you the secret knowledge. The first line, maybe the
Man.
deepest one we're going to get to. Now you might say, what's going on? He didn't even share the secret knowledge. He says, I'm going to share. Because you have no envy of me is the most important part. You must understand.
Now, why is he afraid of him learning the secret knowledge?
Do you remember the story in the Bible, the Tower of Babel?
Yes, one of my favorites.
Vaguely.
Dog. Now this one's very deep. It's very fun. Because the human said, dog, I'm better than God. I'm not only as good as him, I'm better. I'm going to make a tower so high that it reaches the heavens. And then I'm going to say, hey, I'm God. I'm God too, because I'm here with you, bud. And then God's like, oh. He said, no, you're not going to do that. So he slaps him down, probably knocks the tower down too. But since everybody was working so well together, they were about to reach the top. They were about to become gods. They're 99% of the way there. And God's like, poof. He makes it so that nobody speaks the same language. And they can't communicate. They can't work together to build the rest of the tower. And they all just give up and go home and scatter to different parts of the world and different countries.
I always forget about the instilling language on us too. That's
So this
pretty
is like
confusing.
early Bible. This is early, pre-Abraham. This is early as it gets. It's just lore, they say. But what does this mean? I always found the deepest part of this story to be that God was afraid.
I was
that
just
we're
about to
be
say
gods.
this.
Yeah.
He's thinking competition wise.
Yeah.
And he's trying to crush the competition.
Right, that Old Testament God. So when they built the tower, God says this famous line. He's afraid. He says something to the effect of, now that they built this tower, nothing they do will be impossible. And that's the line, like they're becoming close to God. What does that mean to you, right? What does that mean? Now that they've done this, now that they could work together, nothing that they propose to do will be impossible.
Ooh, it sounds like, well, God seems pretty wise in this situation because he knows his creation and its max potential. But it seems like humans can do that without exerting all the effort, like we were talking about earlier with the slow and steady, as opposed to the brute force to doing something. It's like,
yeah, why are you building this tower? To be
Yeah.
like gods? You could build a tower, but maybe that's not the right reason, right?
maybe God's kind of just like, you idiots, you don't need to build a tower to like
That's a big one too.
to get to the
Wow,
the
is that
point.
not reminiscent of what we were talking about earlier too, which is the technology of modern day? Why do we need all this newfangled stuff? Everyone agrees that the 60s was the best time in American history, and we've fallen off. Maybe that's when the ancient and the modern perfectly connected. We had all that war stuff aside, all that conquering and whatever, but we finally had enough technology where everyone was fed, everyone was fine, everyone was working. But now, somehow, we've gone too far, and we need to get back to the ancients. So that's what we're studying now. But I think about, and that's the Tower of Babel, really. But I think about the word here is the fundamental problem with modernity, which is because we have this technology, because we have the Tower of Babel, we think we are God. And the first line of chapter 9 is, because you have no envy for me, I will share the knowledge. Implying that he does not share the knowledge of those who already think, to those who already think they're God, to those who envy him, right?
It's still wanting for me. Like, it's like, so I'm getting out of this is like, God is afraid of us as like a possible.
So it's
new
more
God
to the
that could-
effect that God is afraid for us.
Yes,
God is afraid. He knows that we are not God. He knows that we cannot do godly things.
Oh, he knows that we'll fall off.
We will fall off the Tower of Babel once we get.
Build it.
There will be no gods up here.
Yeah.
As what's his name said. The
So
first
he's saving us.
Yuri Gagarin, the first cosmonaut in space. His famous line was, "I see no God up here." Tower of Babel. Isn't that crazy?
Ooh, it's kind of like a defeat. Like it's defeatist. There's no. He's almost saying there's no reason to go up there.
Yeah, you're wasting your time with stuff that you couldn't understand anyway.
Because that's what I thought. I didn't think God was afraid. I thought he kind of just looked at the people building the towers like a little kid trying to fight you, and you just hold their forehead back.
Yeah, it could
you know,
be
that kind of thing. And, and you're just like, you idiot! Don't you realize that
That makes more sense.
I don't have anything that you can't have already? Like,
Oh,
stop
that's a good one.
coming
I like
at
that
me
a
like
lot.
this.
And also the fact that giving humans different language also gives people something to do. Am I right? When I was
Occupies.
first getting into the religious nature at 11 years old, I had multiple existential crises. Like, I would always hit the wall. I talk about it often on this show. And, you realize that there's nowhere else to go. And you ask your elders, they say, do what's in front of you. They say, just do it. Find something you like. Any one of these phrases, these empty phrases. And that was never good enough for me. Come to find out that they were trying and treading on this line that was truth, which was, stop trying to build the Tower of Babel before I smack you down and give you a bunch of different languages. Then you'll have something to do. Then you'll have something that's in your territory.
So I hear you saying that God gave us the extra languages in response to our search for some kind of big project that mattered to us. But in the end, he was like, there is no big project that matters to you. I finished the project.
I'm the project guy.
I'm the project guy.
Yeah.
You were the
Precisely.
project. You're not making new projects.
Whoa, there it
So
is.
chill out.
So what I hear
I'll
you
give
saying,
you a project.
I'm going to give you a project,
Here's
all right.
10,000 languages.
Have fun.
Figure that
Yeah.
out.
so what I hear you saying is that God wanted to not waste our time. He knew that, like Yuri, the astronaut, he would be squandering his time doing all that to get to space and think, oh, there's nothing here.
Yeah,
Same thing with the
be
tower.
disappointed, any number of
Right.
things. Waste
So-
of time.
Maybe learning languages, God was like, all right, they could entertain themselves with this.
It really feels that way.
This is tame. They can work harder to be one with each other if they're separate in speech.
Right. And now more than ever, it feels so godly. It's just like, what are you going to do? Waste your days? I don't know. What do people do? Play video games or go shopping or buy stuff? All this empty stuff. Buying stuff on Amazon, doing makeup videos. And then you go in the backyard and you start growing a garden. Seems so, what's the word? Innocuous? Seems like nothing's going on, but you feel so much more refreshed. Coming back to the ancient ways, coming back to nature, coming back to yourself, finding yourself within this nature. You're not going to find yourself in the Amazon package. And that's another aspect of culture, because you receive a package that some guy made in China. It was just trying to make money. So you receive that spirit as well. You understand? You receive the spirit of that worker who's trying to kill themselves because they're working 100 hours a week and not making enough money, practically enslaved. You receive that spirit of somebody who made a product just because they're trying to extract money out of you. There was no love behind it, like there is the labor of love growing a garden.
Wow, the chain of commerce, all the things that need to happen. There's a lot of humanity lost within it. That's
Well
pretty crazy.
put. And and that's the lack of humanity that could be gained too. And it's said in passing, again, we're still on the first line, but it's so deep, maybe the deepest one, that I believe it's humanity's greatest sin. That's why it's one of the first things in the Bible as well, the Tower of Babel. I'm just thinking about this now, but it's, I also call it the lust for power. Why do we need power in this world? Why does everybody need money? All these videos now. I talk to kids sometimes, and then, but Jake Paul, I don't know who that is. He's got money. He's successful. And I'm like, think about what you just said right there. You think because someone has money, they're successful. Maybe they're successful in the game of making money, if that's the game you're playing, but not successful in life.
Yeah.
In fact, I just showed Poge an article the other day from an earlier episode of Ancient Wisdom. We had the guy who taped a banana to the wall.
Oh yeah.
And it just sold finally for over $6 million to what, a Korean Bitcoin guy, Poge?
Yeah, he's a Bitcoin millionaire.
Wow.
And he bought it to just eat it online.
Dog.
It's all for the likes,
He
man.
bought this banana to eat it online. And I says to myself, I hit Poge with this. I says, dude, you could be a Bitcoin millionaire. You could be a billionaire, but you're still just doing things for the likes.
Wow,
You still
it's amazing.
just want people to think you're cool. You've got all the money. 99% of people would say you're a success. You're a Bitcoin billionaire.
I'd say he has too much money.
Yeah.
I'd say like there's examples of people with just too much money.
I'm poor and I have too much money.
Like this guy doesn't know what to do besides buy fruit auctions for millions of dollars
Yeah.
and eat it online.
Dude, it's all for that girl in high school. Maybe she'll think I'm cool now. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she'll love me.
I can't say that I would do something better with the money, but I can objectively say that's a pretty dumb thing to do if you've got all that
Yeah.
money. There are definitely easier.
I could say what's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't tell you what's a good idea. I heard a take someone says, "Oh, there's a children's hospital right there," or like
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
or like giving some young entrepreneur a chance at a business. But no, you don't want to give somebody else a chance. No. You want to keep that for yourself and your own likes, eating your own $6 million bananas.
I feel like you could start like maybe like 2 or 3 companies with that amount of money.
Yeah, seriously. That's what I always defer to. You know, everyone asks you, what would you do if you had all this money? You know, if you're really serious about it and you're not a loser who just blow it all, like all these lottery guys, you'd say probably start a business, help the economy, help people, invest, you know,
Yeah,
maybe
you don't even
in
have
young
to be like a
creators.
Silicon Valley genius. You could just start like a, I don't know, elder
Anything.
care business, anything.
Seriously,
Literally anything.
janitorial service.
Yeah.
Already found something better than eating it. Instead, you buy it, you
Yeah.
buy the banana, but what you do is you vlog yourself throwing it into the ocean to say that you're above
Deep.
this art. You're not
Wow.
eating it because you're taking the energy, the spirit from the art by eating. But instead, you're saying, I dispose of this art. This is not
Deep.
art. And then
I pay to rid the world of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That'd be pretty
then that's a
cool.
new art, and that's even better than the original exhibit.
Man, that's awesome. I don't want to be grimy, but okay, you eat it, but you don't film yourself eating it. You film yourself shitting it out.
Oh.
Say that's what I think of this. Yeah.
Into a banana mold.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to be too nasty here. But let's move on. Verse 3. I am not attainable to those who lack faith in this. So faith, we got faith, right? All living beings are dependent on me while I am independent of them. Oh, what does that make you think about? So, you know, not perceivable by the senses, right? That's the first thing we could get. That checks out because I'm independent of them. Anything you could do, I'm independent of it.
I think there's a overall theme here of like, don't even try, bro. Like you're not in charge of this
Certainly.
game. What's going on? God's like, stay in your lane, man.
Certainly, man. And I've been thinking about quantum recently too, how things are all just a wave until the wave collapses. How does the wave collapse? You observe it. So there's something intrinsic about this universe tied into consciousness. You know, receiving messages. I saw this guy talk about there's this nebula called the Hourglass Nebula. Dude, it is a human eye. I'll put it up on the screen.
I recently saw
It's
that.
a human.
That's crazy.
It's an eyeball looking at you. I says maybe it is. It's a frozen image of something outside time space because he's independent of you. If this was God or a thing or somebody who created the simulation, the ultimate God implying that he was here before time space. If before even means anything
and how
to anybody.
and how crazy it is for us to be in the perspective of looking at it where the lights form in a way so that we could see an eye
At
from
the
our
perfect
spot
time, whatever time means.
and location, time and location.
You know, I get weird on the show Time. Last week we talked about how we reach the end of time in black holes. I think I also learned or remembered, I should say, that The opposite of electron is a positron. Positrons, it's proven that they travel back in time. That's what they do.
Amazing.
Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. It's amazing. But that doesn't mean anything to this brain. He's independent of us.
And then they say that the laws of physics can go backwards.
Wow.
Right?
It's the same
but
back
we
and
can't
forth.
do it. Yeah, like you can mathematically push them backwards and all the math agrees, but we can't go that way.
Wow. Yep.
It seems to line up with everything else that's binary that we know about in this world, that if there's a sun, there has to be a negative sun, like a black hole. You know what I mean? And if light travels forward, outward, there has to be something that travels inward. and there's some opposite process going on. It seems very likely.
Yeah, and that's why I'm starting in my old age to not even like these words of time.
Yeah.
Maybe even, they say time and space are the same thing. Much like electro and magnetism are the same thing. That's something people may not know about so intimately. But maybe everything is the same. You know, again, treading dangerously close to hippie territory. But magnets and electricity are the same thing. Time and space are the same thing. Light, color, are all waves, sound, radio. It's all just waves that are existing right now. Just waves. It's weird. What is a wave? This is where the mind stops working. We can't, the only thing we see is this tiny, there's a chart, I might put it on the screen, but there's like this tiny, we see like 30 micro hertz of waves in the entire universe.
Wow.
But there's endless waves. But the only ones that we could perceive, we call color. That's about it.
Very thin slice.
Tiny thin slice.
And back to our eyes, talking about how different creatures develop different eyes to see different wavelengths and stuff. Like
Right.
bugs see all fluorescent and infrared and lights like that.
You wonder why they evolved these certain
There's
things.
a shrimp
too,
that
even on our
sees
own
more
planet.
colors than us.
Wow.
Because
impressed.
they probably need to see things at tighter wavelengths or something
Yeah.
like that, because we're more concerned with other beasts our size attacking us, but bugs probably want to see bugs compared to them.
Yeah.
To
whoa.
eat.
Deep. Yeah, you never know. That's where my mind stops working, frankly. And then moving on at number 6 here, we see, he gets poetic. This is probably some of the stuff that I like the most. As the mighty wind, wow, we started with the wind, blowing everywhere, always rests in ethereal space. Know that in the same manner, all beings rest in me. That's super cool that we started with the wind and the sun.
Yeah, where does the wind blow to?
Dang!
Where does it be like, I'm going to stop
you
now?
answered your own question, dog. Because I say, like, think of a place in the sky where wind is not.
Did I just invent a koan right there?
Right? Yeah, you kind of did.
Where
A
does the
question
wind
that sort
stop blowing?
Where does the wind? Is that a haiku? Is that? Yeah, so deep. Because, yeah, seriously, think of a place in sky, anywhere, where there is no wind. I mean, in this room, but this is sort of a...
We're not in the sky.
We're not in the sky.
Or to what degree is the wind? There's always going to be a wind.
Stop being so deep, Evan.
But I might not be moved by a wind, but a speck could just be
Yeah.
going a million miles an hour.
You're damn right. Could
What
go
if we
anywhere,
bring a
too.
suitcase into the sky?
Capture it. Gotcha, bitch.
Sell it. This wind is from Dubai.
You ever got that Dubai wind?
Can you keep wind?
6
in a
million.
keeping wind in a suitcase.
Oh, man. So this one's pretty deep here, too. All my works may never bind me. Oh, what does that mean? I am the observer, indifferent and detached. The observer, the eye, hourglass nebula.
This is straight quantum physics. All
Quantum
my
now.
works never bind me.
Draquan
Yeah.
physics.
What does that mean to you?
He's not entangled.
Not entangled, yeah. I'm doing everything, but it's cool.
I'm not going to actually mess anything up. I'm not going to even get in, and you're not going to be able to see a trace of me.
Yeah. And these ideas of the Watcher is so deep, because this has been blowing my mind. They're all over the Bible, the Watchers, but specifically the books that didn't make it into the Bible, like the Book of Enoch. It's all about the Watchers. I think that's what they also called the Anunnaki in certain cultures in the Babylonian and
Are
Sumerians.
these the seraphim?
You know, I don't know. not the cherubim. Those are more like
We have to
angelic creatures.
One day we'll do the angels.
Yeah. Oh, Poja's like an angel
Episode we've been
planned for us. That'll
One
be
day.
fun. Heck
One
yeah.
day.
I have one planned about the 7 deadly sins too. That'll be a super fun one. But yeah, this idea of the Watcher quantum, the wave collapses when you watch it. The Watcher of the universe, is the entire universe a wave collapse function?
When God looked at it.
When God looked at it, who was watching it all this time?
Wow.
Right?
It's hard to not get into the hippie stuff once you have that
Dangerously
like
close.
base realization of like the energy is always going to continue on through your observing of it, like the wave crashing. It's still really going on in your head because
Yes.
now that you've seen the wave crash, you know what the rest of the waves are
Damn.
going to do because you've seen it before.
Now that's a deep point. I'm trying to flesh this out in my head, but it's like so many times, maybe even on the show and in life, we talked about what is real. You know, all these definitions, all these words that don't even really exist. Like if something happened, if you see a ghost, I think maybe that's what we were talking about, and the ghost talks to you and gives you a message. Oh, but that's not real. But what is real? It happened to me. It's real. It is a thing that occurred. Much like a psychedelic trip. You could say, oh, that's all in your head. But does that mean it's not real?
True.
Has it not utterly affected my life?
Still happened. It's still
It is something that happened. Maybe it happened to me, didn't happen to you. What does it have? Is the definition it has to happen to both of us? In that case, the whole definition breaks apart anyway. Because what happens to the both of us? So I think that's very interesting. And combined with all these ideas of the watchers, who's watching. And then I was reminded of Matthew 25. Watch, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour that the Son of God will come. What is he saying here?
wow, man.
You don't know when it's happening.
What you just said about if you saw a ghost and you told someone about it, they wouldn't believe that. Oh, that didn't happen. I feel like we should measure what happened based on their impact, not necessarily
Right.
the likelihood of it happening or not.
Right. I like
but
that a lot.
Its effect that it ends up having on the person, because the ghost
I think that's
did in
more
fact
real
talk
than
to
anything.
you. Yeah, the ghost did talk to you. It made an impact on your life, like you just said.
Look, when you have a thought, yeah, you could say it's all in your head, but do you not think to pick up an object and throw it? Does that not affect the world?
Wow.
Does your head not move your body and move the physical world?
Precisely. I
A
like that a
thought
lot.
is changing reality.
Boom. Damn. Now that's deep. And then it's like, what is a thought? Then you have to think, where does that come from? What is it? Mm-hmm. And then I think my concluding line with all this is that words are just never enough. We're always building this Tower of Babel. Oh, what's real? What's not real? That's not a word. That's not something that exists in what this is. We just try our best. I was going to say reality.
Yeah, wow.
That's what I'm trying to disprove.
Real is the most
Plus, everyone
imposter.
says it's a simulation anyway.
Real is the most imposter of a word there is, it seems.
I really
Because
think so.
when you use that word, you're
contender.
You're acting as if you know what real is.
Yeah.
The difference between real
Oh,
and
and isn't that the worst at all? Is that not the Tower of Babel? I know what's real. Ha! You saw a ghost. According to my calculations. No.
And then that's probably when you're most likely to see a ghost.
And that's when, number one, because you have no envy for me, I share my secret with you. You think you know what reality is? God will never talk to you. God will never talk to you if you think you are God. Why would he waste his time?
Wow.
It's like, oh, you already are what you want to be.
You got it. Oh, you're God. Oh, God's like,
Oh.
God doesn't even argue with you, dog. God is just like, oh, you're God.
Okay.
Oh, Jerry. Yeah.
Take care of the universe. You got it.
You got it, dog.
Why should
Okay.
I talk to you? You're God.
That's a whole off my plate. Wow.
I hate to
Thanks.
I hate to always bring it back to women.
Yeah.
But
You got it.
but that always happens in relationships. Like the woman just says, I know what to do. I know
that's
how
a
this works.
huge-
And then the guys are just like,
Okay,
you
man.
know what to do. You got it.
You got it. It's all you.
I'll see you
man.
later.
Yeah.
Go. Go figure it out.
Wife, then you got to deal with it, unfortunately. But,
you can't just
but
leave.
in generally, again, speaking of getting back to ancient knowledge, if you're not a MGTOW in 2024, I feel bad for you.
Like,
I mean, we got to, it's like when everybody voted for Trump and like nothing's going to change because now they have all the power. Yo, you have to be able to set forth some rules before you give in to some of this stuff. And right now we're so obsessed with culture. I was thinking about this week that no matter who you talk to, everyone's feminist. You guys ever think about this? Because the culture is feminist. You know, imagine a girl who says, "Oh, I'm not feminist at all." What I just had this vision where I look at them in the face and I'm like, women are stupid. You know what I'm saying? What if I just said that?
Let's see how
unfeminist you are. Yeah, women belong in the kitchen. Let's see how unfeminist. You know what I'm saying? Like you would have a reaction.
Wow.
Because the culture has affected you so much that even if you say you're not, you believe things.
See, and people will get mad at you for saying that, but all you're trying to do, you're coming from a place of knowing that words don't really mean anything.
Precisely.
It's like, why even tell me this? Now I'm gonna test how true your
so true
your language
and other
is.
little words we can't say. You know, like, why do they affect you so much? Words don't even exist. You're so tied to the demonic nature of the world, of this realm.
Ooh, I got something to say on this one. Remember I was saying that the mind affects reality? The reality of your mind cannot accept the reality of another person's mind.
Oh, and there it is.
You think that your reality only goes one way.
Yeah.
You think that your reality only pushes into the world.
Right.
And you never wanted your reality to accept someone else's reality. So you think you're God. You're the only real thing.
Yeah, I was in this argument with someone the other day, and I says, I don't like that this happens in the world. I won't say what it is. And then he goes, I don't agree with that. And I'm like, excuse me, you don't agree with the fact that I don't like it? You see what you just said there?
Oh.
You see what you just said there? I said, I don't like it. I'm just giving, my opinion. You can like it or not like it, but you don't agree with that. So you're saying you don't agree with the fact that I don't like it.
You
can't disagree with the fact that I'm telling you that I don't like it. There's nothing to disagree with.
I can't not like it.
Yeah.
Or what?
I can't not like
Actually,
it.
I disagree. I think Mitch likes it.
Yeah, I disagree, Mitch. You're not being very honest.
No, you like it.
I'm telling you like it.
The argument might as well have just been about pizza, and then they're mad that you don't like pizza.
Yeah, I thought it was a little ridiculous. And then you get these people that just can't. I don't know. They
accept your opinion?
Yeah, there it is. Like, their way is the way. It's very strange, frankly.
Like, opinions are real things.
Yeah.
Like in your mind, we already got to the point in this discussion today on AW that in your mind is real.
Yep.
So they can't accept the reality of what's contained in your head.
Wow, deep. You can't accept reality. It's like as simple as that. Wow. That's so cool.
I think this way. But no, you can't.
And so let's see. I have a little note here about how my work never binds me. I'm the observer, indifferent and detached. Do you guys like those words at all?
Oh, I was looking for one that just applied to what you said about your argument, because when someone tells me something they don't like, I don't find a need to infiltrate their consciousness, be like, you don't like that.
Wow. Oh, deep. It comes full circle. Fucking awesome. Yeah, that's so true. Indifferent and detached. Everyone's going to have their opinions or whatever because that's just reality. You are a person in this incarnation. But indifferent and detached, it's like, oh, man, me and Poge were on a subway in Japan. My favorite story. You remember this, Poge?
Let's see.
And then a guy in perfect English, a Japanese guy in perfect English, I think he said he studied in Texas for a while.
Wow.
He came up to us and he's like, oh, where are you guys from? We chit-chatted for a while. And then it came up that, him and all the Japanese people were wearing masks. It was during Corona. Oh,
yeah, this guy.
But we weren't wearing any masks.
On the train to Kyoto.
On the train to Kyoto, yep. And it would always stick with me. It was so beautiful. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, why are you guys not wearing masks? And we just said, we're not really afraid of Corona. We don't care. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I wear it because I'm old. And I'm like, what?
He didn't get mad at you.
That's it? You're not throwing a fit. You're not calling me a racist. You're not calling me all names that I don't care about people's health. He was just like, oh, you're not wearing a mask? That's interesting. Here's why I am wearing a mask.
He did the first thing what Americans do over here during that time. If you weren't wearing a mask, they're like, so where are you guys from? I see you're not wearing. I see you're not wearing masks. Why is that?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is to get mad.
Would be getting mad. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck you! You don't care. That was a trick.
Yeah,
That was a test.
Because the
I was almost
demeanor. getting
ready for it in my heart. Oh, why am I not wearing a mask?
Right.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm
You're
not
expecting
afraid.
the demeanor of like, so why aren't you wearing a mask?
Yeah.
You know, like it's. But he was
Hey,
just like,
buddy.
oh, so
That's
why
funny.
aren't you? Oh, all right, nice. I'm old. So
So that was a magical moment to me. I was like, oh wow, this guy's just legit. He accepted our reason and he gave his reason.
I
Oh,
was
that's
just thinking, like, what if you said, "Oh, because I have a beard"?
Yeah, I got
It
to be.
was
You
like,
know.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay. It blocks enough COVID. Go like this. Oh man.
that's
And,
interesting that he asked in the first place, though.
Yeah, it was just a thing. You know, people are creatures of what do they call it? Visual creatures. So, everyone here is wearing a mask. You're not.
Wow, and you
It's
know,
just kind of logical.
just culture. I think Japanese are probably more likely to be agreeable and to go
Yeah.
along with things too. So he probably
Deep.
doesn't want to wear it either. Maybe.
So also, I can't help but think about the Western interpretation of a God who's just the observer, indifferent, and detached. That doesn't sound like we'd like him very much in the West, in these Abrahamic religions.
You hardly-
Doesn't God love us?
You hardly see that message of observing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
observe, indifferent. Wouldn't you say, doesn't God love us? I feel like this is a woman, yet again, in the West. He's not paying attention to me. Doesn't he love me? Why is he not just, whatever, coming to my every need? Why is he not treating me like a princess? Why is he not paying attention to my every word?
We're the Joe Rogans.
I could see
The
it.
East is the Theo Von.
Yeah, I think so.
We're just like, what do we have to do? What do we do to get your attention?
Yeah, very just needy, I think. That's feels like the Western love. I need to pray, God needs to love me. But in this Eastern tradition, it's saying, I'm observer, indifferent, and detached. Isn't that interesting?
In the West, we kind of put more on. There's a action, a path to take. Like there's a challenge to overcome, and I feel like these Eastern religions that I hear you talking about, it's like almost like forget about this challenge, forget about this like thing you think you have to do. Start right now. Just like you're in it. You're done already. That's what I hear from the ancient ones.
Man, now that's a deep point because recently I've come into the knowledge that there's even this world map about guilt versus shame. And one of the big ones is that the Western world, probably from Abrahamic religions, is that we're mostly motivated religiously by guilt. Poach knows this well. And so what that means to me is maybe things that we could have done that we didn't do, for example. But in the East, they're more motivated by religious shame. Things they did do that they wish they didn't. Isn't that interesting? Shame. You don't want to dishonor. Oh, I can't do that. So they end up being more reserved, more to themselves.
So it's like more like they're planning for the future of the sin, and we're in the West fixing the past of the sin.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. Exactly, right? We're more outgoing because we want to do more. We want to give more charity. We want to go to church even more.
Repent.
So we end up repent. We end up being outgoing. We end up being the stereotype of just being like a loud Western person, a loud American, loud Christian, whereas they're like, okay, the less I do, maybe the farther I'll be away from shame. So they end up being more reserved people. Isn't that interesting?
The parallels between the opposites are just insane.
Uncanny.
It's always an element there, but it's always completely flipped, it seems. We're fixing the past and they're trying to prevent the future kind of thing.
And taking that to the next level, right? In the Hindu tradition, love is the reciprocity of devotion. Remember in chapter 4, verse 11 of the Gita, it said, I am, in whatever way people approach me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. Isn't that interesting? Whereas we kind of don't think about this give and take in the West, right? God loves me. God loves you. He does, no matter what. He's always with you. You could be a sinner, you could be whatever, but he's there, ready for you to turn around. So they're almost waiting for you to turn around. And then in the Eastern tradition, no, you actually have to do something to earn it, and I'll give you what you give me. Very interesting. But then, of course, there's always the big one that these atheists talk about. What about babies who die? You ever heard about that? If there's an all-knowing, all-loving God, what about babies who die? Did they deserve it?
I might comment, but I think I have insight into your notes on this topic. But I think I agreed in the sense that babies don't have to go through the torment of enduring the forming of the ego and fighting against that separateness that we have, the envy. They never experience envy. They live life to its fullest potential without even knowing it yet.
Wow.
When they die young.
Well put. I like that a lot. It's a great way of putting the Taoist concept to words, because I feel like nobody's ever able to win that debate because they can't really put it to words, and that's what people are expecting. That's what they need. If we're going to argue, if you're going to win this argument, you must use words, frankly.
It seems like it's more trying to be God, too,
oh, there it is.
to reasonably define why it is that the baby died, because someone's expecting like
act
an
as
answer
God and tell me why. Wow,
that's like
deep.
if you think there's a God, you tell me.
You tell me why God does
why
it.
he did that.
I don't know. I'm not God. Why are you acting like God? Or you projecting God upon me?
Right.
Wow, that's super deep. But of course, in the Zhuangzi, I had to look back into this. I'm like, this was definitely in Taoist literature, but I couldn't remember where it was from. But in the Zhuangzi, the Taoist talks about the infant who dies actually lives the longest. Damn!
Deepness.
Now, this is something that can only be felt. This is not something, this is barely even words itself. He's telling you could be 100 years old, but the baby who dies in infancy lives longer than that. And maybe it's for the reason that Evan explained.
Yeah, because the people who get mad saying there's no God, how could he let this happen? They are projecting their insecurities of death onto the baby as if the baby gave a crap about our worldly desires.
Man, Evan, you're being deep with this concept. You're finding a great words to put to this concept. I haven't really found words myself, but I've attached it to the concept of sort of, it's the quality of the alignment to the Tao rather than the longevity of life.
Right, because some people would argue that we all already are eternal. So the baby's death wasn't really an ending.
Man,
he might be in bliss for the rest of his life now because he had the highest potential living with the Tao.
So the more we live, the less I hear. The more we are living on this earth.
Yes, I know.
The more we, longer we live on Earth, the less we are living the true path of life.
I really think so. I feel that.
And that baby didn't have much time on Earth, so it actually lived longer spiritually.
Yeah, man.
Because it didn't get all the minus years on Earth.
Wow, you guys did such a great job explaining that. I'm not even going to give my take because
awesome.
That was probably better than what I was going to say. But moving on, we got, they are fools who do not see my divinity when I descend into human form.
Ooh.
They cannot see that I am the supreme. What does that make you think?
This has got to tie back to the first line, right? I already forget, but I know it must.
The first line being, if you have no envy for me, I share the ultimate secret. This is the ultimate secret, guys. Remember, this is the theme of this chapter in yoga.
And what was this recent line? Envy and
Raja Vijaya Raja Gurya Yoga. That's what this is called.
Dang.
Yeah, so don't forget it. It's going to be on the test.
But the last phrase you just said, though, when he reveals himself.
They cannot see that I am the supreme. Only fools do not see my divinity when I descend into human form.
Oh, I think I have the answer.
What you got?
Because of our envy, we're always pinpointing in the wrong direction where God might appear,
Oh,
where he
I
might
like it a lot.
appear to us. But because we're in our envious mind, we're looking in the wrong spot. And we don't decide when we're going to find him. He is found.
Makes you
Oh.
He
angry when you
reveals
find
himself
him.
to us.
Awesome.
Almost makes you angry when you find him because it wasn't on your turn.
Wow, you guys are being deep today. Barely have anything to say. Yeah, very true. I mean, I just have written here, of course, Jesus we naturally think of, but we also think Buddha. One that we all often forget in the Hindu tradition is Rama, King Rama. He was a very cool dude. One of the greatest stories ever. It's fucking crazy. If you read the Ramakata Buddha Kichikaroto. Just kidding.
That's not a real.
It's called the Ramayana. Might as well be called that. Okay, a lot of analysis today, guys, so maybe we'll finish up the rest of chapter 9 next week. But for now, let's move on to another ancient part of the world with Mitch translates the Tao.
Comes out of the door. I love that.
He's there to
Like,
greet
you're like,
you.
welcome.
Welcome. Always there to greet you, Asian Mitch. The Tao, chapter 49. The holy man is forever heartless. The heart of the 100 families is his heart.
Ooh.
Good men I treat with goodness. Men who are not good, I also treat with goodness. This is true goodness. Trustworthy men, I trust. Untrustworthy men, I also trust. This is true trust. The holy man is present in the world, gentle and peaceful. His heart blends with the world as it is. The 100 families, captivated by what they see and hear, the holy man treats them as he would a child.
Many similarities today.
Themes of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, very true.
This one was more cryptic than most.
Yeah.
Very cryptic.
Because you think it's going to say don't trust the untrustworthy person, but then you're like, that doesn't sound like something the Tao
That
would
doesn't sound
say.
very Tao.
But maybe what it means is trust your instinct that you know to not trust them.
That could be. Let's get into it. Let's break it down. Let's start at the top. The holy man forever heartless. Ooh, tricky, right?
Oh.
I love this. The last chapter was the same, where they lead you down this path. You're like, he's heartless. Holy man, how's the holy man? The heart of the 100 families is his heart.
Right. I was going to ask, is he heartless, meaning like an angry guy, or is he like his heart is contained, like his love is not, how can I put this?
I really think it's an ancient joke. It leads you down this path. Oh, and then I said to the guy, the 100 families is my heart. You think he's heartless. You're like, what? That doesn't sound right. It's like this ancient joke. It builds up this tension and relieves it. Oh, wait, he's better than somebody who has a heart.
Right. I think there are so many of those white girl like modern phrases that can apply to some of these old ones. Like you get back what you give out. You give out kind of thing. And him not having a heart is because he already gave all of his pieces of his heart to hundreds of people. He already gave it to the village because he didn't need it anymore.
Yep. It is his heart.
Right.
It's like the simplest way to say it. If everyone else is content, that's his contentment.
His heart lives in those 100 people.
That's right. And then again, another trick. Good men I treat with goodness. Men who are not good, I also treat with goodness. Oh, okay.
What else would you do?
What else would you do? It feels very Jesus-like. Same thing, untrustworthy men I trust. Trustworthy men I also trust.
It's
know what?
very.
This is true trust. This is true goodness.
It's very big with the word indifference again, like the Bhagavad Gita
Right.
theme.
You know what I thought
like
when
it
I
a
heard the
lot.
untrustworthy men I can trust? You know they'll just keep doing what they do. It's like a wisdom that they will always do what they do, so you know
Oh,
if you trust them to be the way they are.
I like that a lot. That's kind of like whatever. Yeah,
Trust
yeah.
but don't rely.
Yeah.
You trust them to continue
Trust
being
to
who
be what
always
they
were.
are.
Right. It reminds me of a great phrase. You don't have to judge, but you can discern. These little words that sometimes when language is pretty important, like you trust them because you know them, because they are your heart.
It's like, why would you trust this guy? Well, I trust him to be untrustworthy.
Right, to be
he will
who
always
he
be like
is.
that, and I believe in
That's
him.
super deep, because you're not trying to change him.
And it's the friend of my enemy is real, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
And it's also possible, I'll just put this out there, that's might not even be what he meant at all. Maybe he truly does trust him.
Yep.
But I tend to believe that you're kind of right. He knows what it is. He goes with the flow, and he trusts them anyway to be themselves. He knows who they are, because I think, back to the first line, the heart of the 100 families is his heart. He already knows this guy. I'm not going to yell at him. I'm not going to try to change him. There's no way I could. I couldn't.
So I'll just trust him in what he is.
Right. Because the holy man is present in the world, gentle and peaceful. He's not going to yell at you. His heart blends with the world as it is.
There's the key.
And there's the key. So
Trusting
maybe you are
what
right.
is.
And that was kind of like the theme today too. The world as it is. That's not being God. Because you don't know the secret. Oh, these traditions are so enticingly similar. It's amazing. If you think you're on top of it, if you're going to yell at somebody to be holy, you're not holy. Think about it. Think about the feelings that come along with it. Think about how you feel. You think you are God. You think you know better than this idiot who was never going to change in the first place. And you're not ready to accept the varied nature of humanity.
So what if the person that we know we can trust, the good person that we can trust, what happens when they betray us? Do we still trust them, or do they just go into that other category?
Gentle and peaceful, his heart blends with the world as it is.
I think
There is no category. Right?
if they break your trust, then you trust them to be that person to break your trust.
Or you never had trust to begin with if they can break it.
Right, you guys are getting close to it, but what he's saying here is, I trust trustworthy, I trust untrustworthy. This is true trust. He's saying that you think there's two categories, but there isn't any.
Just trust.
There's just trust.
Because
This
the
is true
untrustworthy
trust.
can become trustful.
Right, they could swap between
Yeah.
categories. I see no difference
Interchanging
between them
all
at
the
all.
time. Wow.
Exactly. And of course,
That's
the
deep.
100 families captivated by what they see and hear. They love hearing this. They love seeing this. They trust the holy man. The holy man treats them as he would a child. So this sort of disseminates to every phrase before this. I think often we say we can't reprimand a child because they don't know any better. But this is how he treats everybody. In a way, they don't know any better. That's not a good phrase, but they are who they are. They're living out their dharma. You treat them as a child, and you know them as a child. Oh, this child's lying to me. I get it. I know who you are. I see it. I'll react accordingly. This child's being very nice. I react accordingly. And that's how you remain gentle and peaceful, heart blending with the world. Because really, nobody ever grows up. That's a hard truth of life. I learned as a young man that maybe one day I'll be smarter than my parents. It happened sooner than I thought. And then you realize, wait, maybe the elders can teach me something. Maybe my teachers know something. Oh my God, they don't know anything either. And then one day I became an old man. And I says, I don't know
anything either.
My God, what is going on? But alas, together, we try to find these answers. We seek them. And we seek them hoping to find. And even if we don't, we enjoyed it in the meantime, baby. Thanks for joining us. This has been episode 68 of Ancient Wisdom. Catch you next time.